Hey, all, welcome to this week's episode of the Mike Muldoon podcast. As some of you might know, I lost my dad a few weeks ago. Now, in retrospect, I had him for almost 50 years of my life. So in regards to that, I'm lucky, right? Yeah. It doesn't make my grief any easier, but I'm lucky. So many people have lost their parents much younger, never had a chance, but I've had my dad for a long time. He's a big part of my life, and he lived up into his 80s, and he was a good man. He was a good man. But the thing about grief, though, it's a universal human experience. It's a natural response to loss that affects us in so many levels. Whether it's like me, losing my father, or for some people it's just the end of a significant relationship, or for some, or any major life change. Like the pain of loss can be overwhelming. And one of the most, common misconceptions about grief is this notion that, we eventually get over it. But in reality, it doesn't have a fixed endpoint. Instead, grief, it transforms, it evolves over time. It shapes our lives and, ways we not even expect. The first real loss I'd ever experienced in my life, I've lost people. Probably one of the first one was my best friend Adam passed away. He was like the fourth brother. So you have two brothers, and I'll be the third in the family, but he was kind of like the fourth. And he was a good guy, man. I still remember this day. And we're going on over 25 years or more. And he was my best friend to my parents. He was like another kid, and he passed away when we were young. I wasn't even drinking age yet. I think I was getting there. We were both just in college at the time, and it was tough. It was hard. We were super close. He was one of my best friends, and I always regretted. I was playing college football at the time, and I'd come home every summer. We'd hang out, and he would, again, hang out. And then, but he'd always say, "Hey, Elliot, when you're heading back to school, give me a call. Let me know you're heading back or whatever. Give me a call." And I remember as I was leaving school, I meant to give him a call and tell him I was leaving, but I couldn't get through. And I'm like, you know what? I'll just call him when I get back to school. No big deal. And this is at the time, we didn't have cell phones, so I was like, I'll just give him a ring on my back. He's my best friend, whatever. I'll catch up when I get back to school. But I got back to school. I got busy right away because I played football. We went right into camp. You start training, you're on 2 days, you got practice, all this, you're tired, you're exhausted. And so I never really got a chance to touch base with him. And I got this call, while I'm at camp, that he'd passed away in a car wreck. And that was tough. So that was probably the first real, loss of experience of deep grief that I felt, that I still to this day, I still think about him. Where would he be? What would we be? Because we were close, and I still think to this day we'd be good friends. But anyway, since my father passed away, one of the things that I've been doing is trying to do my best to move myself through my stages of grief, right? Being very aware that he passed away. I don't think I did that very well with my friend at the time. I think I just didn't really want to accept it. But with my dad, I've been doing very much trying to ignore, passed away, acknowledging, accepting it. I've felt the pain. I've grieved it along the way. And I'd seen it coming too, because he'd been sick for a little while, and I, crazy enough, had resigned from my job, and my dad got sick because I was going to move into something else, and my dad got sick. And I was wild, because that whole time that I was away from my job, I wasn't working. I actually got to spend all this time with my dad, but I got to see him sort of deteriorating over those months. So he'd been sick for a while, but anyway, I've been acknowledging the fact that he has passed away, and really trying to be very cognizant of it and all that. So, doing my best way to move forward. Right. But even doing that, it's not that I'm never going to get over it. Right. We don't get over it. I'll just learn, like I had to do with Adam, that I'll live with it. You see, the loss of someone we deeply, the loss can deeply, it leaves an indelible mark on our hearts. Grief isn't something that we can just neatly pack away or resolve with time. Instead it becomes part of us, shaping our thoughts, emotions, even our perspectives in life. Initially the pain is unbearable, but as, time passes, and I know it will gradually become a companion, teaching me more to navigate my life and maybe in presence, right? Be more available, the fragility of life before us. I guess, and with my dad, I'll have to adapt to a new reality, without my father. And those things will be tough. I mean, there's Thanksgiving coming up, my mother's birthday, my father's birthday, then there's Christmas. There's a lot of firsts in the short time to suddenly face when you're so used to having that other person there, but with his death, I can't forget or, leave the past behind, but find ways to sort of integrate those memories, we shared into present life. We do that with our kids as they've had so many questions. And for me, it's finding meaning in the pain or cherishing the moments we had and the lessons, I've gained from those experiences, of the loss and dealing with it. I mean, but grief doesn't just weigh us down. Grief has a power to transform us. It forces us to confront, again, the fragility of life and reevaluate our priorities, sometimes through tears, which there've been, and heartaches, for people who felt lost from maybe the end of a relationship. We discover strength, resilience, and empathy for others. We become more compassionate, understanding, the depth of human suffering and reaching out to others who might be, experiencing similar pain. And I guess one of the ways we learn to live with grief is by honoring the memories of the ones we loved. We keep their legacy alive through stories, traditions, and values that, imparted to us by them. In celebrating their lives, we find a way to continue our relationships with them, even in their absence. This, connection helps us find solace and maintain a sense of continuity in our lives. I mean, while grief, it never disappears. All right. This notion you're going to get, it's not going away. It's going to eventually coexist with your happiness, your love, and hope. And, just with time, you hope that the intensity of the pain may lessen, allowing you to find joy in your life again, finding the happiness again. Because it's important to give ourselves permission to sort of experience the moments of happiness without guilt, right? Sometimes we feel like, well, why can't I be happy? Because this happened to them, or they're not here. But our departed loved ones would want us to continue to living fully, even in their absence. And that's one of the conversations I've often had with my mother lately. My father wouldn't want her to just stop living her life. They were together for a long time. I mean, we're looking at just a little bit short of 60 years together. A few years dating and 56 years of marriage. And it'll be hard. And it'll be hard for me. It'll be hard for my brothers. It'll be hard for everybody who knew my dad. He was a good guy. But again, I was lucky. I was lucky to have him as long as I did, because some people don't have that. I'm going to be 50 next year. I had my dad for 50 years of my life. He was a good man. He was a good man. Anyway, I was lucky that. Anyway, for anybody out there who's suffering from loss or, just pain of, of something coming to an end, just understand that, grief, it's not a hurdle to overcome, but it's a path to walk. It's a journey that becomes part of who we are. It teaches us that love and loss they're intertwined aspects of human experiences. They shape our hearts, our minds in all these profound ways. And as we learn to live with grief, we find ways to honor that past while embracing the future, carrying the loved ones that we lost with every step of the way. Maybe a loss wasn't permanent. Maybe it's not a death, but maybe it's a relationship. But you can look at that and you can honor that relationship. You can honor what you worked to it, what you brought to it, what you learned from it. Okay. So from now on, when people tell you, don't worry about it, you're going to get past it, you're going to get over it, you don't. I'm sorry. You don't get over it. You learn to exist with it, and it's good for you. It's good for you. Don't ever think you're going to get over it. And I'm not trying to scare people right now who are suffering who think, hey, you know what? I got to get over this. I got to get past it. You will. You'll learn to exist with it, but you'll be better for it. You will be better for it. Now, that doesn't mean, I don't miss my dad and I wish I can have him back, but, he was in a lot of pain the last while. And I don't know religious beliefs. I've never said I'm a big religious guy, but I think there's something out there. I think there's a bigger universe for us. And I'd like to think he was in a better place. And it's funny because I think my dad had that Titanic moment, at the end when Jack ends up on the boat and everybody, they're all there to greet him. I bet there were some amazing people that greet my dad because he was a good dude. He was a good dude. And that's okay. I know I'm never going to get over the loss of my dad, but I know I'm going to learn to exist with it. I'm going to be good for having in my life because, as my brother said, and the most simplest eulogy to my father is, you did good, real good, because he did. But I'm going to learn to exist with it. I'm going to always take him with me. Just like I've taken my buddy Adam with me through over, 25, 6, 7 years now at this point. So anyway, that's what I got for you today. I'm not trying to be sad or depress anybody, but that's what I got for you today. So remember, your grief doesn't have to weigh you down. It can build you up. It can give you strength. And don't worry about whether or not you get over it, because you're just going to learn to exist with it. All right. This has been great. I'm sorry. You can follow me on Mike Muldoon LC at Mike Muldoon LC on Instagram. I'm so not good on that. I don't know. Somebody help me. This whole social media marketing thing. I just can't be one of those people that share my life all day long. It's not that I don't want to. I just feel like I've got other things going on. And, you can always go to my website, MikeMuldoonLC.com. Any questions, concerns, or you need to talk about anything. So other than that, as always, I got nothing but love for you.